The NBA playoffs have started, and so today we're going to talk about each possible contender for the championship and ultimately choose one at the end. Without further ado, let's start with the West side, and we start with the number one seeded Nuggets. The Nuggets have consistently been good these past few years with their back-to-back MVP Nikola Jokic and should be three-time MVP, but that's a discussion for another video, has been doing most of the work for this team. The past 2 years, the Nuggets have overachieved in 2020 and 2021 by coming back from the 3-1 to eliminate the Stat Clippers and taking out Demon and Trailblazers. But in 2022, they're eliminated in 5 by the eventual champions, the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Nuggets have had an excuse for the past 2 years, with their second-best player and Jamal Murray tearing his ACL and missing the 2 most recent playoff runs. Now, I feel like the Nuggets are once again a dark horse, and this is probably due to the fact that they don't got the big-name players like Durant or Curry, but this team can do some real damage for sure after what we'd seen they could do in 2020. Playoff Jamal Murray is something people really need to start paying attention to because this man always decides to step it up in the playoffs, whether that was his performance against the Trailblazers in 2019 to push the series to 7 or the back-and-forth 40-point games in the bubble he had with Donovan Mitchell in that first round of the bubble. Let me introduce you to a concept I call him factor. Now, some of my homies know what I'm talking about, but it's basically how these guys perform in tough situations like the playoffs. And bro, trust me, the 2 stars of the Nuggets have plenty of him factor. The Nuggets have kept their roster depth solid, and with hopefully no injuries to guys like Michael Porter Jr., they can make a deep run here in the playoffs and possibly knock off the Suns, who are a lot favored to win the championship after their acquisition of KD. Now, if the Nuggets aren't able to compete with the Suns or their expected second-round matchup, it'll definitely bring a lot of question to what's next for this team. With Jokic being in the middle of his prime right now, it would be interesting to see how they would shake up their roster by potentially dealing away their other star player in Jamal Murray. The Jokic-Embiid debate will also be even hotter, especially if Embiid and the 76ers are able to make it out the second round of the playoffs. Next team is the Phoenix Suns, who are the favorites for most with their super team that was formed after the Kevin Durant trade. The fact that they didn't have to trade one of their stars for KD is crazy, and now they sort of have a big four with CP3, KD, Booker, and Aiden, although I don't know if you could really consider CP3 an all-star level player at this point of his career, or if even Aiden is on that level as well. The Phoenix Suns have decent depth behind these starters too, with guys like Torrey Craig, Landry Shamet, T. Ross, and even TJ Warren, the greatest player to ever play in the bubble. The Suns, at their max potential, can definitely win a championship, especially since just 2 years ago they were 2 wins away from a title, and last year they were the number 1 seed. The problems come in though with player performance, injuries, and team chemistry. I'm confident in KD putting up a great performance in the playoffs, but Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and especially Chris Paul, I'm not sure if they got that him factor. We've seen this clearly last year when Luka Doncic and the Mavs completely dismantled the Suns in Game 7 of their second-round series. After this collapse, many have questioned DeAndre Ayton, including the Suns, who looked like at one point in the summer they didn't even want him, and CP3 was getting dragged about his previous choke performance with the Clippers. Now, injuries will play a huge role in the team with KD being in and out of the lineup ever since he got to Phoenix, and CP3 tending to get injured in the playoffs often, most notably when he injured his hamstring when the Rockets were up 3-2 against the Super Team Warriors that looked like they wouldn't be defeated. The Suns have lost key role players from their original core like Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, Cameron Johnson, and JaVale McGee, so playing well together is definitely another obstacle for them, and people may overlook this, but we can see how this affected other star teams like the Lakers or the Nets, the old Nets I'm talking about. If the Suns are able to overcome these obstacles, then I don't see a reason why they can't win a championship, but we all know this isn't really realistic, which is why I think they'll make the finals, but lose to another team that I'll be naming later on in this video. Now, if the Suns don't win the championship, I'll be dying of laughter, to be honest. I don't really want the Suns to win, mainly because they have KD, and I'm still cheesed that the man joined the Warriors in 2017. I'm sorry, but if you're a fan of that move and all of his other moves, then you're just a loser. I understand if you respect this game, because that boy is nice. He might be the most skill scorer of all time, but that man is a loser for that move. And I hope this new super team form does not work out. I do want to see CP3 win a ring, don't get me wrong. I'd rather see this team lose also, because Devin Booker has been real cocky recently. On a real note, the Suns will get clowned so much if they can't reach at least the finals, and I honestly don't even know what the next steps would be. CP3 would get bashed for not being able to win with this stacked team. If I was the GM, I'd just quit the job or delete this My League save, to be honest. Now, the defending champs, the Golden State Warriors, are another team I think can be a potential contender, even though a lot of people are counting them out right now with their subpar regular season performance this year. The Warriors finished 6th place in the West, but were only 4 wins off the 4th-seeded Sacramento Kings, who they are playing right now in the first round. This series is actually a close one to my surprise, and I think I may have underestimated the Kings a bit. The Warriors still have their core of Steph, Klay, and Draymond, with a great supporting cast of guys like Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and GP2. Andrew Wiggins missing like half the season could be attributed to the Warriors' mid-performance in the season. So with him coming back, I'm confident the Warriors can get things back on track based on the track record of their ongoing dynasty. Now, the key success for this team is probably their success of the big three. Warriors will need Curry to step up, Klay to step up, because Klay has been mad inconsistent this year, and this may be because of the 2 back-to-back major injuries that he's had, so I guess I'll cut him some slack. But my man has been talking crazy all year. Always pulling up his 4 rings. Like, come on, fam. Like, we get it, bro. Draymond will need to stay out of trouble. I don't know if they could count on that because the NBA is steady watching his ass, and the man is racking up bare technicals. I wouldn't count out the Warriors, and I advise you guys not to as well. They still got that main core that won them the 2015 and 2022 championships, and as long as they could get things back on track, I wouldn't be surprised to see them make another deep run. If they don't win, it shouldn't be the end of the world for them. I mean, maybe if they lose to the Kings, some questions may arise about their future of this team, but I don't see them making big changes. I think they like to keep their big three even if the team isn't at that top dog level anymore, just out of respect for their players. Unless Draymond or Klay decide they want to leave, they probably will just decide to develop their young players like Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, Patrick Baldwin Jr., and others, and hope they can continue the success of the franchise. Now, I don't want to look like I'm glazing LeBron, but come on, fam. You can't count out the greatest player of all time out of the title contender situation, especially since the Lakers have been looking neat as of recent. Okay, you know what? Maybe I am glazing, but come on, bro. They got a stacked-ass roster with the big three of LeBron, AD, and D'Lo. Plus, they got hella depth with Austin Reeves and Malik Beasley, Dennis Schroeder, and Rui Hashimura. We can't forget about playoff LeBron, who used to dominate the East back in the 2010s. And with LeBron playing like a top 10 NBA player still at the age of 38, I don't see him being slowed down here in this year's playoffs. The playoff performance of guys like AD, D'Angelo Russell, and Schroeder will be important, as they have had a history of going cold in the playoffs. Injuries will play a huge role for AD, especially because that man is made out of glass, so everybody gets hurt every 2 games or something like that. The Lakers will obviously have to hope that LeBron doesn't get injured too, as he's got injured a lot more these past 2 years than he has in his younger days. I think the Lakers have potential to make the conference finals, but getting past the Suns will be a tough one that I'm not sure they could pull through out of. The Lakers had a strong finish in the regular season to get in the playoffs with their new squad, so if they were to get eliminated before the conference finals, I think the front office would allow the team to run it back. I don't know if the Lakers would want to move AD because I don't know what they would be able to get for him that would allow them to compete for a championship with LeBron. I don't even think LeBron wants AD traded. I mean, look, if I was a Lakers GM, I would have blew up this team last year or deleted this My League save as well, because this team is way too stacked on paper. I don't know what's wrong with him, but hey, that ain't my job, you feel me? Next, we got to talk about the 76ers. Is it finally time for Embiid and Harden to get that chip? This was Embiid and Harden's first full season playing together, with Embiid continuing to play at an MVP level for the 3rd season in a row, while Harden has somewhat returned to form to an at least all-star level. The 76ers finished in a safe 3rd spot in the East with the supporting cast of scorers like Tobias Harris and the young Tyrese Maxey, who has proven that he could be trusted to perform when the time comes. The 76ers also got nice wing defenders with guys like PJ Tucker and Jalen McDaniels, who should match up well with future opponents like Tatum or Giannis. The 76ers' performance depends on their performance of their 2 stars, especially in their expected second-round matchup against the Celtics, where Embiid must deal with Horford while Harden must deal with Marcus Smart. If the 76ers aren't able to make a deep run this year, some serious questions are going to be placed on Harden and especially Embiid as to whether they are championship-caliber players. This is probably the best roster out of all the Phillies' latest playoff runs, and I don't know if trading for another star would be the best option if they aren't able to get the job done this year. I know Philly fans will be tight if they go through another rebuild, so that should be out the equation. But a guy like Tobias Harris, who's been in bare trade rumors, he might be out of there. Now we got the last contender, which are the Celtics, and are also my favorite to win the 2023 NBA championship. They came off a finals appearance last year and many deep runs and first-round exits. The Celtics definitely know what it's like to play in these tough, gritty games that come in the playoffs. The Celtics are well-rounded with their offense, mainly coming from their duo of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who have both been consistent with their play. The Celtics have great spacing on the court with Marcus Smart, who I remember was a shitty shooter at one point in his career, probably early in his career, you know what I'm saying? Derek White, they got another shooter, and a big man like Grant Williams and Al Horford. The Celtics were able to add Malcolm Brogdon to the bench, which provided to be a great addition as he just won 6th Man of the Year. Like I said before, the Celtics will be able to match up well against other contending teams with Marcus Smart being a gritty guard on defense and Al Horford's ability to guard big men like Giannis and Embiid. The Boston Celtics core has played together for a minute and showed that this year they could win even without former coach Ime Udoka. The Celtics have also won most of their matchups against their biggest rivals in the East, as they went 3-1 against the Sixers and 2-1 against the Bucks. Where those 2 wins, they completely blew the Bucks out and lost barely without any of their key players. For those reasons, I don't see a team ending Boston's momentum, but it'll definitely still be a tough battle for them to get their hands on that championship trophy. Now, let's say the Celtics weren't even able to make it past the second round of the playoffs. Could we see the duo of Brown and Tatum broken up? I know Marcus Smart gonna be yelling in that damn locker room, probably punching a hole in the wall like Flight Reacts. But on a real, it'd be crazy to think about the possibility of them folding, because they've been trying to piece up a championship team since that trade that got them those Brooklyn draft picks. They started with the Isaiah Thomas era to the Kyrie Gordon Hayward era, and now the 2 draft picks from the Brooklyn Nets are leading them to their championship runs right now. Imagine if the Celtics had gone a completely different route by trading those draft picks for a star like AD or even DeMarcus Cousins at the time. Seems like the Celtics have made a lot of deep runs these past 6 years with different rosters, so don't be surprised if they decide to shake it up again. So guys, that's going to wrap the video. Got 7 contenders here, which tells us that this year's playoffs will be very competitive, and as a fan, I'm excited. It'll also be interesting to see the different adjustments of these teams after the playoffs, because we all know they're only going to be one champ. I have a feeling a super team will be created next year, but let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my opinions. Thanks for watching. For amazing content, subscribe.